How's it going, everybody? Well, get the brooms out. The Green Bay Packers have swept the Blue Kitties for the first time since 2020 as they go into Detroit and take care of business on this beautiful Thanksgiving Day, 31-24. I hope you were able to spend the day with your friends and family eating good food. I know I did. I just got home a little while ago, just finished rewatching the game, took my notes, and I'm ready to go with this great post-game reaction. Of course, with it also being Thanksgiving, the Packers feasted, played an extremely good game on offense, on defense, and got the job done. Of course, Toyotathon is also in full swing as Jordan Love played his best game of the season. We'll, of course, get into all the stats. A couple of injuries to start with. Today out was Quay Walker, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, Carl Brooks, and Lucas Van Ness. Josh Jacobs, he returned in pretty much full capacity today. He got banged up a little bit, but did return in this game. Edgerrin Cooper got banged up a little bit. He returned. Unfortunately, the worst news of the day, Devonte Wyatt going down late in this game. Really bad ankle injury. Unfortunately, I do think his season is done. We'll know more later on. But Matt LaFleur in his press conference said that it does not look good. So that will be a huge, brutal loss for the Green Bay Packers. I'm wishing nothing but the best to Devonte Wyatt. He's going to be greatly missed in this game. Getting right into the stats. Jordan Love, as I said, one of his best games of the year. He was 18 of 30, 234 yards, 4 tutties, no interceptions, and no sacks. So the Green Bay Packers offensive line doing a spectacular job today. Anthony Belton, he started today at right guard, thank God, and he did a very good job. Josh Jacobs, as I said, he returned in pretty much full capacity, 17 attempts for 83 yards. Dontavian Wicks, my opinion, the star of the game. He had his best game of the season, 6 receptions, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Of course, he had that big 4th down conversion right at the end of the game to seal the victory for the Green Bay Packers, jumping up and getting the ball and bringing it down, losing his shoe in the process right over Brian Branch to seal the game. Christian Watson, he had 4 receptions, 80 yards, 1 touchdown on 10 targets. A couple of those balls he either dropped a little bit off or that was just well defended by the Blue Kitties. And Romeo Doubs, 4 receptions, 20 yards, and a touchdown. Of course, there were a couple things that people are probably going to be upset about. Was Dontavian Wicks' first touchdown really a touchdown? Well, he had possession, both feet down was a touchdown. Also, the Packers initially looked like they kind of got away with a false start. Matt LaFleur said, or was calling for a timeout. Now, what did he call the timeout before Anthony Belton moved for the false start? They were saying he was shouting, timeout, and then only made the gesture after Belton had moved early. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and really talk. I don't want to talk too much about the refs. There are a couple bad calls on both sides. I'm not going to get really too deep into it. It never really matters or really gets us anywhere. So overall, there was only 2 or 3 penalties for each team, so I don't think it made any difference anyway. On defense, Isaiah McDuffie for the Green Bay Packers, he led the team in tackles. Micah Parsons continuing to wreak havoc on teams, 2.5 sacks for him today. And Igbari had a half sack. Brandon McManus, he came out and kicked 1 field goal for 45 yards and nailed it. He was also 4 for 4 on extra points. And Daniel Whelan, only 2 punts on the day. So overall, the Green Bay Packers offense doing a very good job. A lot better than what I thought they would. Of course, there are some injuries, on both sides. The Lions defense, the Packers offense, I think both these teams have full power. I think it might have been a different game, but the Green Bay Packers doing a very, very good job of scoring points. I didn't think the Packers would be able to put up 31 on the Lions, especially in Detroit. It's a difficult place to play. But they did just that. Jordan was in his bag today. He had a couple beautiful throws, used his legs at times, and really did exactly what he needed to do to get this Green Bay Packers team the W today. And of course, turkey. Jordan got turkey legs. He actually got a turkey leg when he was supposed to get one in Detroit. So that is awesome to see. I do want to make also another note. All the guys at the end of the game, all the Packers players who were eating turkey and food right at the end of the game, I want to make this very clear. I love Rashawn Gary, but why was Rashawn Gary eating a turkey leg and Dontavian Wicks was not out there? That's my one big complaint. Dontavian Wicks should have been out there eating a turkey leg because he earned it, and he is also one of the big reasons the Green Bay Packers won this game today. The Green Bay Packers offense also, for the most part, did a very, very good job when they needed to. Especially that Detroit's last drive down there. Micah Parsons on that drive had 2 sacks. And getting them out of field goal, or out of really in the red zone, to force the Lions to kick a field goal instead of trying to get in the end zone, which was obviously a big difference. But my concern with the Packers is their secondary. A lot of like the zone stuff they were doing. They tend to leave the middle of the field open, and that bugs the crap out of me. Also, missed tackles, a really big problem today. Carrington Valentine had a huge missed tackle near the end of the first half and allowed Jameson Williams to go in and get a touchdown. Got to be able to wrap those guys up. Just running into them is not going to bring all these guys down, especially big players like Williamson. So that's a concern. I know McKinney had a missed tackle. Evans had a bad missed tackle. Of course, Carrington did. I'd like to see that cleaned up. But for the most part, they did what they needed to do for the most part. Getting briefly into the stats for the Blue Kitties, Jared Goff played a good game. He was under a lot of pressure, so a couple of his throws were off. But he was 20 for 26, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 3 times. Gibbs, he led the team in rushing yards. He had 20 attempts for 68 yards. Montgomery also had 8 attempts for 37 yards and a touchdown. I was saying to my wife at the beginning, or before the game started, that the keys to the Packers winning is to limit the run game and put pressure on Jared Goff. The Packers did both. So, big reasons why they won. Jameson Williams, 7 receptions, 144 yards and a touchdown. Most of those yards, of course, are yak yards after catch. The Packers struggling to get him down. Very elusive. This Lions offense has been explosive all year. They're very, very elusive. And that really, really shows they're able to get into these spaces and be able to dodge tackles or get wide open. This offense is run very, very well by Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. And then Isaac Tesla, he had a touchdown, kind of low to the ground, fell down to catch it. He has only 6 catches on the year as a rookie, and out of those 6 catches, 3 of them are touchdowns. And 2 of those touchdowns are against the Packers. So I think he's got a pretty bright future. I like him. I think he's going to be a very good wide receiver in the NFL, and I'm not happy that he is a Blue Kitty. And then defensively, Brian Branch led the team in tackles for the Blue Kitties. A couple of team stats to go over. The Packers and the Blue Kitties, very similar in a lot of these. these two teams matched up very, very well today. Time of possession, the Green Bay Packers had the ball 28 minutes and 54 seconds. The Blue Kitties had it 31 minutes and 6 seconds. The Green Bay Packers 18 first downs. The Blue Kitties had 20 first downs. The Green Bay Packers 6 of 12 on third down. The Blue Kitties 8 of 13. This stat right here I think makes a giant difference. The Green Bay Packers 3 for 3 on first down. The Blue Kitties 0 for 2. So very, very uncommon. Of course, the Blue Kitties were 0 for 5 or 6 against the Eagles just 2 weeks ago. But Detroit not being able to convert on fourth down, big difference in this game. Total amount of yards, the Green Bay Packers had 359. The Blue Kitties had 352. Both teams ran 60 plays. The red zone efficiency, the Packers were 2 for 2. The Blue Kitties were 2 for 3. And then penalties, the Green Bay Packers had 3 penalties for 20 yards, and the Blue Kitties had 5 for 22. Looking ahead, the Green Bay Packers now sit at 8-3-1. Their next game is a pivotal game against the Bears, who are currently sit at 8-3. They play the Eagles tomorrow afternoon on Black Friday. That will be a pivotal matchup. The Packers and the Bears will meet 2 times yet in these last 4 or 5 games. Those will be pivotal matchups and must-wins for either team to be able to win the division. The Blue Kitties now sit at 7-5. They will host the Cowboys, who just defeated the Chiefs a couple hours ago in Dallas. The Cowboys sit at 6-5-1. They still have playoff hopes. But the Blue Kitties sitting at 7-5, 0-2 against the Packers. I think they're 1-3 in the division now. So that's not good. But of course, the Blue Kitties could still win the North. They could still get in the playoffs. The NFC North is still very much in play for the Packers, Bears, and Lions. So we'll see how these next couple weeks shape out. Of course, I think that the division's either going to go to the Packers or the Bears at this point. We'll see how these two matchups go. The Packers beat them twice. They should win the division. But today, this Thanksgiving Day, big, huge implications. Of course, the Packers getting the job done. Big win. And we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But this is a big win for the Packers today. I'm very, very happy. They played very, very well. So we will see you guys next week. And as always, go Pack, go.